I'm Marc Hoffman, and in this video I'll be showing you my arrangement for guitar of the song Veinte Años, or 20 years, by the Cuban singer-composer Maria Teresa Vera. Now, I first heard this song on a compilation album by Punta Mayo Records. It was released in 1997, and the name of the CD is Islands. The track of Veinte Años was by Carlos Puebla and his Tradicionales. The guitarist on this particular track on the Islands CD was Santiago Martinez. I've not been able to find a lot of information about him in particular. My arrangement of the song is in A minor, for reasons that I'll explain a little bit later. But what I'm going to do is first play through the song. It's got three forms. It's got an intro, a verse, and then kind of a bridge or a chorus to it. And I'll play that through each form once, with the chords superimposed on your screen so you can get an idea of what the harmonic structure of the song is. And then we'll break it down, measure by measure, riff by riff, so that you can see everything that I'm doing. And I'll be paying particular attention to how I move chords up and down the neck in order to accommodate playing the melody at the same time as the chord. So what do you say? Let's dive in. Okay, so let's break this down. I'll start by playing the intro, and then we'll cover it measure by measure. So the first thing that's happening, the song of course is in the key of A minor, but we're not playing an A minor chord in the beginning. We're kind of presuming the A minor, and part of this is because we'll use this as a turnaround between verses that end on A minor. Okay, so the first thing we do is a walk up from A to D, because we're going to go up to the D minor chord. So we've got our open A string, try that. And the next string, the next note will be on the open D string. So here we put it all together. And again, in context, it's going to be. Now this chord up here is actually what you might know as an A minor chord form. But we're going to move it up one, and of course I can't bar behind it like this, so I play it with my last three fingers instead of my first string. So there's A minor, B minor, C minor, because there's only a half step between B and C, C sharp minor, and D minor. But the only notes that we're actually going to use are these two strings, the second and third string. And the middle finger plays the second string at the 6th fret. The ring finger plays the third string at the 7th fret. And for this next figure, we're going to keep them 1 fret apart. So the relationship between the two fingers and the frets they're on never changes. Okay, this is then down a fret, back to the beginning, up 2 frets. Putting it all together so far, we've got. Now the next chord is where we finally come to the A minor. And that's like an E minor moved up all the way to become an A minor. However, we only need, again, 2 strings. So I'm going to translate this to this. So we've got an A bass, and then now the 4th note in that, 1, 2, 3, the fingers actually need to be 1 fret apart. So I'm moving up like that. I'm keeping my middle finger rooted. And one of the key principles in playing guitar and changing chords is, whenever possible, to have one finger that kind of stays rooted. So in this case, I'm using my middle finger. And you might find another way of playing it, like you might want to do it. For example, you could switch those 2 fingers and go. And then they'll be kind of in the right order. Or even 1 and 2 fingers, fingers 1 and 2. I just find it comfortable to do. And I also do a little slide. And notice that when I slide up, even though I'm changing fingers on the 2nd string, you don't really hear that that's happening. It's not like I just kind of hit the whole thing at once, with a slide. Okay, so let's take it from the beginning. And now we're going to an E chord. So remember, I mentioned earlier that having this in the key of A minor is real helpful, because you've got your A note as an open string, your E note as an open string, and your D note as an open string, and those are going to be our 3 main chords in the song. So, Here's the E. Now this E is based on a D7 chord. Now you probably know the D7 chord. You probably play it like this using your first 3 fingers, but I'd like you to get used to also playing it with your last 3 fingers. Okay, here's another principle of guitar, which is get used to using different finger configurations to make the same chord, so that depending what's happening with the melody and where you are on the neck and what you played just before, you can easily change chords and you don't have to rely on the same fingering every time. So it's now, how is this that D7 formation? Well, it's like this, moved up 2, and of course I've got to follow the D string, bring that up 2. So D up 2 frets is an E, E7. And all I'm using is that. And now we've got long slide there. But don't freak out, because we're going to handle it. That's your A minor, which you're very used to. However, I only need 2 fingers down. So all these figures are done with pairs of notes. Put it up to speed. And now we're back to what we played earlier. So we're almost done with the whole intro. I'm going to play it once through. And now the last 4 chords, I think it is. This is a diminished chord. Diminished chord has these 2 fingers and then 1 fret higher. So this is the 4th and 2nd string. That's at the 7th fret for this diminished chord. And then I put my ring finger down 1 fret higher and my pinky finger down 1 fret higher. Let me see if I can turn that a bit so you can see it a little better. So, let's see. And I'm just playing that as an arpeggio. The next chord I need is an E7. We haven't played this configuration yet, but this is based on a C7 as a folk chord, except taking these 2 fingers off, I put my ring finger down on the 3rd string, and then I play the G note. So that's another kind of a C chord. It's inverted because the bass note is not a C, so we call it an inversion. And this is a completely movable chord because we're fretting every note that is played. That's a D, that's an E, or E7. Okay, so we've got And I need one more. I need to play an E7 that contains that note. So I can do this 7th chord, which is again that D7 folk configuration. So we're going to have and notice what's happening here is these two fingers, the first and second finger, are just swapping strings. And of course I'm sliding down too. See? So here's something to practice. Just practice switching the first and second fingers, swapping the strings that they're on. And then you'll get that. And again, I'm doing some sliding with those fingers that stayed in position, which is these two. These are going to switch, the first and second finger. So, oops, sorry. And my last note for the intro is an A minor chord. And I like to snap it. So I'm doing two things. I'm picking hard with the right hand. I'm also lifting the left hand off slightly, so it mutes it immediately. So we got, and that's going to take us right into the first verse. We'll handle that in a separate section. Okay, we're ready to move on to the melody. It's got two parts. We'll call them part A and part B. And before I show you the full guitar arrangement, I want to play just the notes of the melody on the guitar. Okay, so that's just the melody, stated very simply. I do want to point out, though, that I have a tendency to play a piece a little differently every time, so please don't be thrown if you see a little inconsistency. That's my fault, but it's just the way my brain works. Okay, so now let's start in on the actual guitar arrangement of the A part. Okay, so let's break that down. Okay, the melody, it just starts with the melody notes, and we're on the B string here, a half step below the E string. Okay, so it's... And now this is an A minor played on the first and third strings. So the bass line is... Let's try that again. So it's na, da, 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 da. And then we're going to switch over to an E in a second. So that bass note on the E chord is the bass line is. Now we're still hearing an E chord. It's just like that A minor played on the first and third strings, but we're up at the 7th fret now. Okay, so these are all E chords. And now we roll a nice A minor chord. And do a clipped E7. Then we're going to go from that E to an A major sound. Notice this is just one half step. There's the A minor, there's the A major. Okay, we'll take that a little slower. And then we go into this figure that's like this. Let's break that down. Playing on the 2nd and 4th strings at the 3rd fret. Then we go up to the open 1st and 3rd strings. And still on the 1st and 3rd strings. Still 1st and 3rd. So it's sliding from this A minor down to, and I like to then follow this with a G bass. So that's the 6th string, the 2nd and 3rd strings, and then we've got this diminished chord. We've got the 4th and 2nd string played there, but it's played with a bar. And then we've got a G flat or F sharp in the bass, and that's the 3rd string. So 6th and 3rd strings are at the 2nd fret. 2nd and 4th strings are at the 1st fret. And so this is a 4-note chord. Playing the 6th string on the bass, then the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. So. And now this next part's easy, it's just an E7. Something like that. Now this is the repetition, and we do some interesting variations on it. So the first thing that's happening is a roll with your right hand. The most common roll with the right hand, I'm talking about how you play an arpeggio. Normally, or most commonly, This arpeggio is played from the bass strings up. But we're going to do it upside down. We're going to go. So I'm playing string 1, string 2, string 3, and it's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And at the same time, there's a bass line that goes. Let's put them together. Then our famous little. And then we're going to do the same thing with an E7. And the bass line on the E7 is. Putting them together. This E7 passage. Okay, let's do that again. If you want to get that finger pattern that I've got going there, it's go right to an E7. So we've got already. Except for that one bass line. This is from our intro. Remember this? 2 diminished chords, 2 forms of E7, where these 2 fingers switch. So I did a little slide there, and I'll cover that too. This has the sense of sliding the A string. But I don't actually get all the way to the D. I use the open string. Sometimes what I do at the end of the repetition of the A. Okay, and that's going to go into the B part of the melody. So let's find that riff here. A minor chord. Okay, let's take it from the repetition of the A part, and then I'm going to go right into the B. has a feeling of G. It's a nice simple G7 chord based on an E7 like that. And this is the way the B part goes. The B part again. Here I do what's called a sus4. I take that note and raise it a half. Starting again. So this is just a hammer-on. C chord. Just an A minor, but I have to bend my first finger back to hit the E string. So let's take it from here. That's your bass. Walking up. To E7, back to A minor, and then a quick E7, and then a final A minor chord. But instead of just doing that, I do it what's called an A minor sixth. Before we look at some additional improvisational riffs that you can insert in the arrangement, let's see the entire song so far, played once through without breaks. Okay, now I did an older version of this song a number of years ago, and I've been asked to explain some of the improvisational figures that I did on that. After the whole song is stated, we go back and I do some improvisation on it. So let's have a little listen, and then I'm going to go through section by section. So the first chord in this improv is actually a variation on an A minor. I'm fretting only 2 strings, and all the other strings can be played open. The 2 strings I'm fretting are both at the 5th fret. I'm pressing the 3rd string down with my pinky and the 4th string with my ring finger. Then I play an A bass. And if I drag with my index finger, I will also be getting the 4th string. So that's that part. Let's move on a little bit. So that next thing I'm doing is, that's called an E sus4, sustained 4th. Let's continue. So now that bass run starts with an open E string, then I fret it on the 4th fret, then I'm on the 2nd fret of the A string, then I'm at the 3rd fret of the 4th string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, back to the A string on the 2nd fret. Now, I could play an open D string, but I like to slide up. Now we're back down to the E string on the 4th fret, and open A string, that same A minor I showed you a little while ago. Okay, let's see what we've got next. These are all this is your A major form. So it's, we're going to play I'm playing just the third and second strings at the second fret. Then I'm moving the second string up 1 fret and the third string up 2 frets. Then I slide them both up 2. And then all the way, still they're a fret apart, all the way up to 8th and 9th fret. That's your D minor chord. We've got an A minor chord that is going. That's the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. The second string we start open and then hammer down with the first finger, and then an open E string, second string at the 3rd fret. That's just an E7. So that is part of a diminished. But I'm not playing the 5th string, so it looks like a D7, but you shift it over a string and up a fret. And back to the E7. It starts with an A minor. It's just like a D minor moved up to the 8th fret. Do that figure twice. It's just a roll. That's the A minor, and then it goes, and of course we add the bass. Here's the E7 that we learned. Another E7. The D7 moved up 2 frets. Now we're going to play a series of diminished chords moved up 4 frets at a time, which for a diminished chord on a guitar, it's the same chord. Every time you go up 4 frets, it's the same chord, just a little different voicing. So, our first finger is on the 4th string of the 3rd fret. Jumping up 4 frets. So we've got A minor. This is one of the E7s you learned earlier. So we've got this is really part of an A7 form moved up to where it's an E, but we only need first string, second string 2 frets higher, third string, same fret as the first. So we've got an A minor. Well, that pretty much does it. This has been my first instructional video of this sort, and I'd welcome any questions that you have. I'd also really appreciate any comments about how I can improve future instructional videos. You can contact me at the email address on your screen. Thanks for watching.